Once you have that established in your mind, like you can do anything you want to do. You can be you. You can be the smallest
That's right.
player on your Division I team playing in the SEC.
I had so much belief in myself because I had put so much work in. Like, I knew every time I stepped on the field that there was not an individual on the field on defense that put in near as much work as me.
That's right. I'm so excited to have my young compadre here, man, Chapman McKown. Man, we've been rocking for a long time, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, running back at the University of Oklahoma, one of our most distinguished alumni, one of the most athletic guys I've ever had the pleasure of dealing with. And when I first met Chapman, you were in 6th grade. I just moved to Norman. I come across a group of young cats that when I first met you guys, I knew I could see it because I know football. But I had a bunch of dads who didn't know, knew they had a good group of boys, but just didn't know how talented y'all were at that time. So, yeah, man. So let's go all the way back. Let's talk about your upbringing and how you got involved in sports and all that kind of stuff.
Man, so I was I was raised in a great family. Got a great relationship with both my parents, and blessed to have a sister who pushes me.
Yeah.
Just arguably a better athlete than I am. Like, she's living
That's
a dream
real.
right now. Like, you know what I
That's
mean?
real.
I mean, she taught me how to work, and
What does she do? Talk about her for a second. Yeah.
so she's in New York City right now trying to make it on Broadway, and that's
Wow.
singing and dancing and all
Yeah.
that. So, and that's a whole different type of animal. I mean, that's like the NFL.
Every day.
It's every day. So she's got to wake up and go to work every day.
Yeah.
And she taught me, she really taught me how to work. I was,
That work
obviously,
ethic.
yeah,
You saw it in real time.
I saw it in her. She's 4 or 5 years older than me, and I was just blessed to be able to just see how it had paid off for her.
Mm-hmm.
But you could see how tough it was,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just attracted to how she worked, and shoot, she taught me everything I know and everything I live by now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be where I'm at without her, for sure. But a lot of people praise my work ethic, but it's really from
Yeah,
her.
because man, when I met you guys, I know your pops had essentially had a dance room built for her in y'all's barn,
Yeah.
so she could just get all the reps possible. And I mean that's the same about you. I mean, yeah, when I met you, I thought you were going to be an Olympic wrestler.
No doubt. I mean, it's crazy because I was talking at church last week, and of course they introduced me as a football player for OU,
Mm-hmm.
which is it's crazy, and a lot of people think that's just crazy, and for a Norman kid and everything, and
Yeah.
and it's even crazier because they see how I look. And you just don't see that a lot, at a Division I Power 5 school
That's
like
right.
OU. You just
That's
don't
right.
see it.
Yeah.
And I told him, I'm like, shoot, I grew up wrestling my whole life. Like, the day that I told my family and told the community that I wasn't gonna keep wrestling, I thought that they thought the world was gonna end.
That's right.
It was
I remember
crazy.
that. I remember that because your dad
wild.
called me and he was like, "Hey man, little guy."
Yeah,
That's what
was
he's like.
wild.
Little dude's thinking about just being football full time.
Football. That's what it was. It's crazy. I got my first offer in 7th grade to wrestle Division I, and I'd piled up quite a few by the time I was a freshman.
Yeah.
I mean, and so to tell my parents, to tell my family I was done with that. I mean, shoot, there's money going out the window.
That's right. That's right. I mean, that's something that I don't think we've ever talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So from my standpoint, having to recruit kids and go through that process on the football side, obviously you're changing kids' lives by giving them free education. That's one piece of it. And so looking at it, you had to have an ultimate belief in yourself because you were essentially all the hard work and reps you had put into that point in wrestling had gotten you the dream, right? Offers already and things like that. So, I mean, there's kind of a double-edged sword of a deal where you're like, you know what, I got a bunch of offers in wrestling, but now I'm going to believe in myself, and I think I'm good enough football player to receive offers in football. So talk about that switch. When did that happen? Kind of talk about your mind frame and when you started having the ultimate belief in yourself.
I'd always believed in myself athletically, but I had been told no so many times from so many people as far as football went, and this is people that don't matter, like people that had no real impact on my life, telling me that I just subtle things all the time, like you're too small, like your son's like telling my dad like, hey, what are you doing? Like how are you gonna let your son stop wrestling? But the thing is like I had that belief in myself, and you were one of the first people to see it. It was you and Tracy Gordon. Y'all had told my dad like Chapman has got enough talent to play like college ball. Like don't just let the kid do what he wants to do. And I mean it's crazy to say, but I really wouldn't be here like without you guys.
Oh man,
I mean
no,
that's like the reality. I'd be wrestling right now. Like it's crazy, but I mean y'all believed in me when nobody else did.
part of it is part of my testimony, right? Like I was an ultra talented kid. I didn't know it. I didn't know it until I was halfway done with college. Like I thought I was just living my life. Like this is just what I was supposed to be doing. And then when the opportunity came to go to the NFL, I remember this distinctly. I had a teammate from Oklahoma City, Chris Chamberlain, one of the best. Dude was just always around the ball. Like we watched film, he played outside backer in the odd stack, and for whatever reason, he was just always around the football. And so we get done with our senior year. I'm we're number one offense in the country, all those kind of things. I got an opportunity. Scouts are always at practice. Football just came so natural to me once I figured out technique and fundamentals. But like working outside of practice and what was prescribed, no. That wasn't happening with me. But I just didn't grow up in that culture. Like that was I'd much rather be riding my bike and playing hoops down the street or whatever. But yeah, man, I didn't have the work ethic to have the expectations to go to the NFL. There's like 90 days before your pro day.
Right.
Okay. And I'd work out a couple times. Chris was out there all the time. Chris ended up playing in the NFL for 6 years. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he was when he showed up on campus, he was 6'2", 195 pounds, white kid playing safety. Ended up moving to linebacker and playing in the NFL outside linebacker, playing Will.
Shoot.
You know what I'm talking
That's
about?
crazy.
And so
That's crazy.
I kind of knew like once I got once Creed and I started working together and what hard work looked like. By the time I got to you, once you have the hard work mindset, like you're not afraid to put the work in. Once that's fortified in your mind and you know that if you put the work in, the fruit will come. Once you have that established in your mind, like you can do anything you want to do. You can be you. You can be the smallest player on your Division I team playing in the SEC, and it's not common, but I saw that back there in you, and that's easy to buy stock in. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So no, that's a testament to your hard work. So talk about getting into high school, because I think you played varsity as a freshman. Am I right? So talk about your high school career and kind of what led to and maybe some impactful games that kind of fortified in your mind that you could play big time football.
I think my freshman year was probably the year that I really sat back and said, I can play college ball. I obviously wanted to be on varsity. That was my dream, my goal for a long time. And Coach Jones at the time had maybe one kid in his history of coaching 15 years or so that ever made it on varsity as a freshman. Mm-hmm. And we're a 6A school, so going in, I'm like, it is what it is. If I play freshman, that's fine. And I just so happened to find my way onto the varsity team as the 5th or 6th string running back, something crazy like that. But I was on kickoff, 135 pounds, 5'4", tiny. And I was just out there just running around playing ball like I knew I could, and started breaking people's ankles and whatnot because I could move.
That's
and
real.
Sure enough,
that's a real statement.
The thing about football is, the best ability is availability, and I stayed available all year, and we just had a lot of things happen with the running back room. And sure enough, the 5th, 6th string running back myself ends up getting my first start against Owasso, who at the time was ranked 18th in the country.
Man, that's real. Yeah, they had a really good team.
They did, and I'll tell you, I got whooped. Like
You
I
got
went
beat
out
up.
there, I got whooped that game, and that's why I'm like, okay, I gotta throw some weight on. Like,
Man,
I mean, if I want to do this, it's gonna take more than just being able to play ball and working hard.
I remember.
I mean, you gotta eat.
I remember having that conversation with your pops. He was like, "Hey, man, we need to talk to Jones." He's like, "If you want, we're gonna have to catch some balls. We're gonna have to run some routes." Definitely can't carry the ball 30 times a game. But no, man. I mean, that's part of what probably made you fast, huh? Is having to run away from me.
I was just running away from him. I didn't have a chance if I went head up with him. Not a chance.
Oh man, Chapman. So you were running track. You were putting weight on. Obviously as a sophomore, you're getting a lot of playing time. You're starting full time at that point.
Yeah, I was. I was in like a different situation. We had another good, like really good running back, Gabe Trevelison.
Okay, yeah.
And we had like this great 2-back system that we were in. But I started like, so I played slot and running back, which I think is so beneficial where I'm at now, like being able to run routes and everything. So that year was probably one of the biggest years for me, like as far as developing as more than a running back.
What'd you learn from him? I mean, being as talented as you are, I mean, this is going to speak to a bunch of players, right, that we know. But like most of the time, the most talented player, the fastest guy, or the guy that's getting all the love, it's hard to learn from other guys in the same room. So that talks that speaks to a little bit about who you are and what your character is. So talk about having to develop your game and always being a student, and even learning from the guys that you're trying to take playing time away from.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean the running back room is like notoriously always like very tense, and I'll tell you like I was in that room with Gabe, and we became like really good friends through it all. And that dude taught me. Now that I'm in college, every single day after a workout, I get on a stability ball and do balance work. And like I do, everything I can do on balance, I do it for 20 minutes after every workout. And honestly, that comes from Gabe, because that dude's like his balance was the one thing that you could not argue. Like the dude could take a hit and then stay
Just
up.
had really good contact balance.
And it was unreal. And so like just learning from that, and then learning how like he approached the game and worked his tail off. Didn't say much. He was one of the most quiet kids I was around.
Yeah.
And I was able to learn from him. I mean, he was a senior, and so there wasn't a lot of pressure on me there. I mean, I could just have fun. I was just a sophomore playing ball, and I could kind of just sit behind him and have fun where I wanted. And then, he was obviously taking the majority of the carries, getting hit like crazy. I'm over there running the routes, getting the ball in space, and so I was able to, really work on my craft as far as juking, which has gotten me to where I am now. Sophomore year, I made it to playoffs versus Jinx, and Jinx went on to win the state title that year by a ton of points. They were good that year. But I remember that game. We were down quite a bit, maybe 3 touchdowns, and I hadn't got a carry all game, hadn't touched the ball, and I get I'm like, shoot, give me the ball, let me see what I can do, and I want to say it was my second carry, maybe first. I get just a little toss. I make somebody miss in the backfield 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
I remember
reverse field, juke another dude out of socks and crib it. And I was just like, I'm like, okay, all right, let's go. Like, let's go to work.
Yeah.
Sure enough.
Because you kind of, at that point, you had to feel like, man, like I can really play.
Yeah, 100%. Because, I mean, all year it's like Gabe was the guy and he's a dog. And like, I kind of had to like learn to take that back seat and then lead from, a different area and like learn how to be a servant leader.
Play the role.
Yeah, I had to play the role.
Yeah.
And so at that point, like I finally got to just like play true running back. Like I really got the ball in my hands and got to like shake some D linemen rather than like, DBs and everything like that. So I was really like, I fell in love with just being able to make plays like with the ball in my hands.
Yeah, I like that. So junior year, I think that's also Gavin's senior year.
Yeah.
Right? So you and Gavin are together. Gavin Frakes ends up going to New Mexico State.
Yep.
Okay. So pretty good quarterback. Defense, if I remember, not so great.
That year?
Yeah.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're that great. But they were working. I think they were maybe young and all that kind of stuff. And then
Yes, sir.
the next year they were pretty good.
Solid.
Yeah, the senior year y'all were pretty good. So then Gavin leaves, and then the real crew is back together. You and Killer Cam, and talk about your senior year, and I mean the ups and the downs. I mean, because it wasn't. I think you still had 1,000 yards, 13 touchdowns, 260 receiving yards, 4 receiving touchdowns in 8 games. Talk about your senior year, kind of the ups and downs and the mental kind of stress and the growth, and then the recruiting process.
Yeah, I mean, recruiting process for me was rough. I mean, it was just it's like anything. It's a process, and I didn't have really any major offers. I had always believed that I could play Power 5 football like my whole life. That's kind of like why I bet on myself. Like I could have wrestled anywhere, and I didn't really drop wrestling. To play like at a lower school, and that would have been fine with me. I would have attacked it in the right way, but I definitely believed I could play Power 5. And when Power 5 schools would come to my high school and tell me like I just couldn't take the hits because I'm too small, I was just like, y'all are crazy. Like, I've grown up wrestling 200 pounders, like being able to handle these dudes. Like I can take the hits. I'm gonna put on some weight and be able to handle that. That's not the problem. So eventually, Coach Venables obviously took that chance on me that nobody else would, and I mean, shoot, it's been up ever since. But I ended up going in that season as an OU commit, which put a lot of pressure on me, and that was a lot of that was just myself, like wanting to prove him right, wanting to prove a lot of people wrong as well. Like I did
Because you
deserve
started
it.
getting some negative maybe comments at that point.
100%.
Yeah, Sooner Nation's different.
No doubt. I mean, I definitely a lot of people didn't think I deserved it or, stuff like that. And I mean, if you'd seen the work I'd put in, like I did, but
That's right.
I definitely there was just a lot of pressure that I'd put on myself. Like I got to go out here and I got to have this many yards. I got to average this many yards per carry this year. Like in the first few games, I just wasn't, like you could tell, like I wasn't being myself. Like I was
Yeah, I remember that.
playing almost timid, whereas like I've always been just fearless. And eventually I was able to just kind of put that to the side and just play ball, but it took a while, and I got hurt for 3 games with a little AC joint. I mean, nothing crazy, but once again, like if I could go back, I probably would have played those games and done that differently. But when there's so many people in your ear telling you not to play because you're going to OU, it's like, well, I guess I'm not gonna play. Like, I have a doctor telling me I could tear it and then potentially be out when I get to OU. And I got hurt when I got to OU, and I kind of looked at it differently. I'm like, I got hurt anyway when I got here. I'm like, you just play ball when you can and have fun.
Yeah, that's real. That's a good message because you're committed to OU. You beat Jinx. You beat Broken Arrow.
Yes, sir.
You guys had a really good year.
We did.
Unfortunate that Cam gets hurt last game of the season. You got to have a kind of a novice quarterback who's turned out to be a very good quarterback, Owen Eshelman, come in and have to play early, and that seems to kind of be the way that things happen at Norman North. But you guys had a really good year. You leave and go to transfer to OU at semester, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you wanted to get in and get going. So talk about that. I remember we were having, conversations about, your morning workouts and Smitty riding you and having to go through that. And like, man, I don't know if they like me.
Yeah. I mean, that was crazy because I've wrestled at the highest level. I mean, I used to go live at the Olympic Training Center, from the years 10 years old till I was 15, 16, every single summer. I'd just go live out there, and I'd get the biggest butt tunes you ever had out there. I mean, but it was different when I got here because everybody, like, when you step foot on OU's campus, you're all put on the same level. I mean, it does not matter if you're a 5-star, no star, whatever it is. And I was kind of shook because I'd never been like really, really like held as accountable as I was when I got to OU. I mean, I had been coached really hard. Like the hardest you can possibly get coached was like I'd been that. Like I had to deal with that through wrestling. But
And Coach Boyd.
yeah, I mean, hey, Coach Boyd, you drop a ball, catch the ball.
Man. Hey, man.
Yeah, hey, I'm not gonna lie, Coach
Make a
Boyd,
play.
he prepared me for DeMarco Murray, cause they dang near the same. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, man. I had to go hard on you because you were too talented to be dropping balls like that, man.
He did, and I'm not dropping the ball as much anymore. You know what I mean? So I'm grateful for it.
That's funny. Oh, man. So I remember a distinct conversation. Two things. One, you told me we had to work through the mental process of the coaches coaching you hard, just holding you accountable to every little thing, almost feeling like, they're picking on you. I mean, that's what it gets to. You got to get through that mental pain. But I told you about that. I told you that
Yes,
they
sir.
wanted to, they either going to coach you up or coach you out, and you're going to rise to that occasion. And so then the next conversation we have is Beadenbo giving you an award for recognizing for hard work. Talk about that mind shift from like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here, if I can cut it, to I know I can cut it, to one of the coaches who don't give out recognition at all, giving somebody recognition, right?
Yeah. Yeah, obviously it was tough, like getting coached by Schmitty when I first got there. He was like I'd came in with something called rhabdo, which is like an overuse injury. And it's where you do too much of like a certain lift or whatever, and you end up getting like your muscles start eating themselves. So I had gone from like benching 275 to benching like 185 when I got there. I mean, like my muscles were like gone in my biceps, and Schmitty did not like that. Like he didn't care. And looking at it now, like we have this relationship to where like the dude gets on you, but you just say yes sir, and like you appreciate it. But at the time, I'm like so confused. I'm like, is this dude? He mad at me for being hurt? What? But like, I end up like, I'm like, okay, he just demanding like greatness out of me. Like I know what it is. Like he just wants me to get out there and compete. And ended up like working out well. So I went from that and, calling you to vent and just be like, coach, like, this is tough. Like, I don't know if I belong here. Obviously like the talent is insane at OU.
Man.
I mean,
That's right.
you get guys that are just freaks. And at this point, you don't see him play football. Like, you don't know. All you know is this dude runs a 4.4 and jumps a 40-inch vert.
Man.
And you're, like, comparing yourself. You're like, dang, do I belong here? Like, what? Because I'm athletic. Like, I was always, one of the most athletic at my high school and everything. And then I get here and I'm like, dang, there's some guys like me. Like, they're all like me. And then they might be bigger, too. So, like, what's going to separate me? And I remember, like, that workout, we had been doing coaching stations for a while, they're brutal. Like, that's like the hardest thing that you'll do at OU.
There's like mat drills.
Mat drills.
Yes.
You go to like some dark places.
Man, you got to.
You have, it's terrible. Like people just don't get it. They don't get it. It's rough.
It's the mat drills, all my man, all my TU homies. We bled the same blood. I mean, mat drills are no joke. You got to be mentally, but
you do.
It's the mental anguish and coming out on the other side that's the most fruitful, because then you're just mentally fortified to go into battle because you know you can do it, and you can do it with these guys who did the same thing.
Amen.
Yeah, that's the real thing, bro. So talk about where you're at now, man. I mean, school wise, we were talking pre-show. You're taking 18 hours, but 18 hours is a lot.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about what's the strategy, man? What you trying to prove, man?
So I was trying to take 15, and they said I could go on a service trip, get 3 more, but I have to there's like this small class you got to take with it. I'm like, well, dang, I'll just do that. I mean, that seemed like fairly easy. And it's like, hey, I'm big on my GPA. Like, I'm like, I gotta get this 4-point. I mean, like, I'm a competitor, and like whatever can separate me, I wanted to separate me. Like, the second I get a B, like I'm like, okay, chap, like you gotta lock in. And so I'm in 18 hours, but I can handle it. We're not in like the craziest schedule like you'll see right now. I mean, this is winter workouts is definitely one of the harder times in football, but it's also like you have a little more time to yourself. So that time to myself, like, I mean, well, shoot, I get up at 4:30 every morning, go to the facility, get treatment, work out. As soon as workouts are over, I just go to the academic center. I get all my homework done right then and there. And then
What time are you arriving at the academic center?
I'm at the academic center at 9:00, 9:30,
What's your first class typically?
11:30, and
So
then
you're there for 2 hours before your first class
2 hours just knocking out any work I can, and
every day.
every day. And so I go from there to class, and then class we got another lift, and then right after that lift I watch film for an hour or two, and this is like every day. Like I've found a routine. I'm watching film every day.
Hold up. So I got it. All right. So this is where the value comes in for you aspiring players, because like I said before, one of the things that I love about Chap the most is his work ethic, and his work ethic has put him in the situation to be playing in the SEC. One more time on the schedule, just real quick. So up at what time?
So I get up 4:30. I'm at the facility by 5:25, 5:30, and I'm just getting treatment on my knee, on my hips. I always get my hips released just for like just hopefully get my speed better. From workouts, I'm straight to the academic center, and then academic center to class. And then right after class, I hustle over, grab lunch, get my lift in, and then I go like right after the lift. I hot tub, cold tub, then straight to film. I watch some film with my O-line buddy, and we just kind of watch tape on like the Chiefs. Like actually, like we watch tape on the Chiefs. He likes to watch Creed, and Thuney, and I like to watch Pacheco just because he runs hard.
He runs hard,
and so we just watch tape, and then Casey Thompson, this vet. He just transferred in.
I know Casey.
Bro, that dude,
he played for me at Newcastle.
He works his tail off, and that dude, like, I feel like he showed me like how to be a vet.
Yeah.
So I started working
Casey's
with
about
him.
his business.
Yeah, working like just listening to him, hearing him out. So we started watching tape, and we're leaving the facility at like 9. So we sit down. We're like, hey, we can't be leaving the facility at 9 every night. Like I'm talking, I get up at 4:30, and I don't go home till 9:30. Like. I mean that's tough. Like I'm there for hours.
But that's
hours.
This is the small portion of your life.
No doubt.
Like, this is not the end of your life. This is the beginning of what's happening in your life. So if you're willing to commit every moment to that craft, you're going to be so much better for it in the long term, right?
Yes, sir.
Like, I mean,
there's no doubt.
No doubt. So, I mean, that schedule is what separates a lot of people from being able to play, you know, because you got people like you who are hustling, trying to make every waking moment theirs, and then you got people who wake up and they just show up.
Yeah.
And I bet Coach Venables is getting those people out of Dodge. Real quick.
He don't mess with him. He doesn't care. He does not care.
Talk about what it's like to play for Coach BV.
It's I mean, there's nothing like it. There's not a better coach in the country. Like nobody I'd rather play for. That dude, when I tell you like nobody, there wasn't a college coach Power 5 that like really believed in me. But when I tell you this dude has my back, like to this day, we'll like throw hands with somebody like, nah, Chapman can play freaking ball. He can play in the SEC. And I'm talking like he can start. And whoever's got a problem with it, like, can come see me. Like he for real is about that. Dude is the best Christian like leader I've ever been around. It's unreal to see that in a Power 5 coach. Like you just never see anybody like that is open about their faith like that. And that's so big for me because my faith is my number one thing. And for him to just come in and share his faith every single day and give a testament is just, like, it's awesome. There's nobody I'd rather play for, and that's just the Lord, like, leading me here.
That's real. I'm very happy that he's in town. You can kind of sense, you know, all the guys that I interact with or I see interacting with around town, they're all respectful, trying to be good representation of the team, you know. And that speaks to the culture that the head man's trying to bring. Like, you know, you can bring in some foolishness for sure, because we've all seen it. But yeah, that I'm very happy that you're there with him. So talk about what it's like to be in the room with Coach Murray.
It's crazy. It's crazy, bro. Because like I grew up watching this dude play running back for OU.
Yeah.
And I grew up Oklahoma State fan. So he was dicing Oklahoma State up like bad, and I'm just sitting here like I don't know. And then I see him, he gets to the Cowboys and he does his thing. I mean, he was at one point he was the best running back in the NFL.
That's real.
I mean, the #1 running back.
That's real.
Walter Payton Man of the Year,
That's real.
Pro Bowl captain, like all that.
Yep.
First team All Pro, and I'm sitting here like in the running back room with this guy, just like it's unreal because you forget that he is like really like one of the greatest and did the position like in the right way too. Like he played ball the right way. Like
he's really smart.
Was a great man and smart as heck.
Yeah.
It's unreal how
Really
smart he is.
Yeah.
But that dude, he'll start chewing you out and you're like, what are you talking? But then you're like, hey, this dude like really one of the best. like I gotta listen. I'm trying to learn. Cause like it's hard, but
oh man,
it's like it's just like where you forget that he was so dominant in the NFL for the Cowboys especially.
Yeah,
like it's just crazy to see.
He's I remember watching him play. You know, I mean I think they came to Tulsa my senior year.
Yeah,
you know, and they had their squad was Sam Bradford and.
They were stacked.
I mean, come on, man. You know, and we took an L that day, but we ended up being the #1 offense in the country that year, so that was a saving grace. But they smacked us. But talk about, you know, how and when you rely on your faith to continue to, you know, be on this Chapman McKown journey.
I mean, faith is everything to me. Like, I had knee surgery day before the first game, and just being honest, like I wouldn't have been able to get through that without the Lord. Because the second I got hurt, the thing I love most in this world was taken away from me, football. And you quickly realize, like, hey, like, life's a lot bigger than just ball. And so, though you can rely on your friends, like, you need a good friend group. You need the people around you that can help you through. At some point, like, you just need the Lord. Like, that's going to be the one thing that gets you through because it's the most steady, like, most solid foundation that you can be on. And I found that, like, anytime I was relying on the Lord, his grace and mercy never wavered. And I was always feeling fulfilled, even though I was on the sideline looking at a different role. Talking about your why. Like, my why was always, like, I'm doing it for these kids. And, like, I just want to show them that it's possible. You just got to, like, you have to bet on yourself, and you can never really give up on your dreams. And you, like, because you're going to hear 1,000 no's for every one yes. And like I said earlier, I was fortunate to hear yes from you, to hear yes from Tracy Gordon, hear yes from Coach Venables. But I was told no by so many people. And I had like this crazy belief in myself. Like it was like a lot of people would call it delusion, but the reality is that's why I'm here, was that delusion. And I just constantly, like, I had the most positive mindset at all times, like 24/7. Like, I'm gonna do this. I mean, going into my senior year, no offers. I don't care. Like, I'm gonna find a way onto a college roster, regardless of where it's at, and I'm gonna find a way, like, to fulfill my dreams. And you just have to be able to, like, take all those no's and understand that that's good, like, because that's what's gonna drive you. Because you gotta have a why. You gotta have a reason bigger than playing football.
You get told no. You get told you're too small. Where do you go in your mind? Like, where does Chapman go to have to tell himself, say, yes, I deserve to be here. Yes, I'm going to put everything I got into it and make it happen for myself. Where do you go, and where can other ones look inside themselves to do the same?
I mean, you gotta have, like, I put in so much work. And
that's right.
I suffered so much from a work standpoint. Like, the crap was not fun for a long time. And I'm like, dang, like, pay off eventually.
Yeah.
Like, pay off eventually. And when you're signing that letter of intent, it's like, it's paying off.
Yeah.
Like, all that work paid off. I had so much belief in myself because I had put so much work in. Like, I knew every time I stepped on the field that there was not an individual on the field on defense that put in near as much work as me.
That's right.
They had no right to tackle me because they didn't put in the work to tackle me.
Yeah.
And I knew that going into every game, everything I did. And the other thing, like, I know, like, my height. Like, I don't know if I'd be here if I was taller or not. I don't know, but I know that I'm here right now with the height that I am, and that clearly has benefited to me becoming a great player. Like, I really wouldn't change it. One, because I can have an impact on a lot of kids' lives that look like me, but I can also, like, it's helpful because I'm running behind a 6'7" lineman. Are you kidding me?
Supreme advantage.
Like, especially at OU, like, our O-line is massive. Like, everybody knows OU got a massive O-line. And when I'm running counter, like, I'm sorry, but the defense not seeing me, and the next second, if you got that burst, next second you're gone.
Man.
It's 0 to 100 like that.
You love it.
I love it. Like, I love being my height. They hating on it, but, like, I'm like, I wouldn't change it. Y'all just don't know yet. Like, they don't really know the secret behind it.
There's a hidden magic to being like that. I get it. I mean, I remember I was like, bro, like, yes, of course you're getting 6 yards of carry because I can't see you.
Yeah,
it's hard to see.
Facts.
When I first met you, your dad told me this insane number, and you were like 12, 13. But you were like the most cut up 12, 13-year-old I've ever seen. So talk about like how many push-ups and sit-ups you used to do a day.
I think it was like I started 6 years old. I met Johnny Hendricks, and he looked at me as a 6-year-old. He was a UFC fighter. He looked at me as a 6-year-old and was like, "You're not working hard. You're not working hard enough." I'm like, I'm 6 years old. I didn't even remember this. This is what my dad says. And so from that day forward, I did 100 push-ups, like 40 pull-ups, 100 sit-ups, like every single day. And this is not like I'm doing extra to like playing my sport and doing like activities and whatnot. But I'm like 6 years old, getting up at 6 a.m. to do like hundreds of push-ups, all this stuff. And so like by the time I'm like 10, I got like all these people at wrestling tournaments saying I'm on steroids. I'm like, I'm a 10-year-old. Like, what 10-year-old is gonna be on steroids? I just done about 50,000 million push-ups. Like, what are you talking about? I put in the work.
Steroids, that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Your dad was like, yeah, little dude does 100 push-ups a day. And I was like, what?
Yeah, when you do the math, it's crazy. Like, that's a lot of push-ups in
time.
In a few years.
Over time.
It's a lot. It adds up.
Got to put the work in. And the work never stops, right? So you're saying when you're a young guy and you're 6th, 7th grade and you have that dream and you're trying to understand, maybe I want to go, I want to play. The unsexy part of that is all the hard work. The hard work that goes into it, because you got to be disciplined in what you're doing. You got to be able to wake up at 6 and do some stuff. Can't just roll out of bed.